Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to go from this model right here to this model right here, which has had its undercuts blocked out. You can see here's kind of the height of contour. And also I sculpted this little area to show how you can offset one part of the model from another. Okay, so here we go. Let's just delete that so you know I'm not cheating. Delete those. Alright, here we go. So first, orient your model so that you're looking down on it from the direction that you want to block out undercuts. I'll look at it from the sides, figure out which way that is. Shift C to center your cursor, Shift A to add a plane. Scale this plane up really big, right? Don't worry about it, make it big. Just so happens I've positioned my model that this is more or less where I want the plane, but you want the plane to limit your view to kind of just what you're interested in. So for me, that's the teeth. If you have edentulous spaces, you could subdivide this plane and sculpt it so that it showed the edentulous spaces, or however you want to do it. Doesn't matter if it's a plane or a surface, just something to limit what you're looking at. So that base here. Right. Look at this from the side. Shift D to duplicate. G, Z. Put it wherever you want the bottom of your model to be. We'll call that base 1. Okay. Now we've got these two planes. Get everything from above. Add one more plane. This plane will become our ultimate blocked out model. So I'm going to call that a refractory cast, as if we're blocking out a model to make partial ventral. You could be blocking it out for any reason. Right. Tab into edit mode. You'll need to make sure that you have the B surfaces add-on enabled. Alternatively, I like to make sure that I'm using the trackball style that is beside the point. Okay, hold down D to draw with the grease pencil, and just draw a big arch around everything. A little wavy with the mouse, doesn't really matter. Don't feel like you have to get super close to the teeth. In fact, a nice little border is probably better. Right? Add a surface. I would probably like to do 115. You want nice small squares here. It doesn't have to be super small, and you will want to, you're going to add more detail later, so if you took this down to 75 and 10 or 12, that's okay too. You just want a more or less uniform grid here. Right? If you see anything crazy like this happening, just delete those or draw your thing again. Okay, so now one more thing. Delete the original plane vertices, select all of them, add a vertex group, optic, sign, another one, right, hit E to extrude, pull this down a little bit, assign those to bottom, cabinet edit mode, pull this whole thing above the entirety of this model. Now we're getting ready to make this look like what we want it to look like. You can also hide these. You can actually hide everything except for the model you want. So I'm just going to go ahead and add these modifiers first and then tweak them later. So add 2 shrink wraps and a multi-res. We'll call this first one Blockout. We'll call the second one the base. Okay. Make this a projection in the negative Z direction. Do the same for this one. Alright, so for the blockout, we're going to drop this down to the lower model. We also want a secondary target to be base 0. and we'll limit that to just the top vertexes. Down here, we'll make this base number 1. We'll limit it to just the bottom part of the model. There you can see, here's our rough version of our blocked out refractory cast. Now, back up here to the multi-res. The reason I have you do this later is so you only add as much detail as you think you need. So you just want to subdivide this until it looks good. And to me, that looks good. As you can see, in the areas right kind of here, where you're in the places where you're blocking out or dropping off the edge of a height of contour, that's going to be kind of where you're not as accurate as you want to be because of the discrete nature of dropping a mesh down onto another mesh. So you may have to subdivide pretty high to get kind of a well-defined height of contour like this. So do that until you think it's ready and everything looks good. Apply these one at a time. Okay, so now you have a really high-res mesh, but the only reason it's so high-res is because we needed that resolution to capture these heights of contour correctly. And now I'm going to add a remesh modifier. Now you're thinking, oh my gosh, we're back to this again. Okay, so let's go ahead and change it to smooth. And if you're going to crash your computer, this is going to be the place. So I would start by doing this one at a time. I think I know already that I want to go around 8. The computer's going to sit there and think for a second. There. And so, now you can see that here in the blockout area, it's kind of smoothed that transition. Also, instead of just having straight lines up and down, you have show this here. Okay, you have nice kind of even mesh over that whole surface. This does come at the expense of a little bit of accuracy, but as far as the smoothness of your moving around and also how fast your computer is going to behave, this helps a lot. So depending on what you're after in terms of blockouts. Now, I'm going to go ahead and apply this. Take a second. Decimate. Oh, no, non-manifold mesh. Loading. Wow, that's a pain. Normally you don't. That was the whole reason for applying the remesh modifier. Right, so you won't be able to do that. But let's add. Now I'll show you how to do selective offsets. Let's add a solidify modifier. Let's have it be and let's turn it off so you don't have to look at it. 0.5 millimeter. Also, turning off modifiers will prevent Blender from recalculating the whole mesh every time you change a parameter. So turn off the view here, change your parameters, and then turn it back on to see it. Let's also make a new vertex group called offset. Alright, we won't assign any vertexes to it just yet, but just leave it highlighted. Back over here, select offset, and you can turn it back on. Now you'll notice the whole model goes boom, and gets thick. Come to the weight paint mode. I'm going to select sharp, add strength, so not everywhere. Now let's say we were going to put a bracing arm on this tooth, and that bracing arm would follow the height of contour, which we haven't really marked. So you just kind of have to remember where it was, so that's not really good. What do you think the height of contour is? This looks pretty, don't look as awesome as you might have been hoping. Alright. So, now, when we jump back into object mode, you can see that just this little area where we painted is, you want to be thicker, out, thinner. So that's how you can do selective offsets. If you want to just do the whole model, just delete that right there. Boom. Whole model will give you a nice, nice smooth offset from the original. So we can slice here, turn the lower model back on, give our refractory pass a material. You can see here is what we're looking at. And okay. So actually you want to make this +1. Otherwise your offset will be half of what you request. So okay, hope that makes sense. You turn this off, you can kind of see that you are going to get a little bit of error in here. That you know, you're going to fill in the groove just a little bit and lose just a little bit of the surface. But anywhere you're seeing these yellow lines overlapping the surface, it's like really close. Anywhere you're seeing it show through, or seeing no little yellow lines at all, like right here, it means you're missing it. Just see if I can take a very thin slice and give you an idea of how much air you'll be introducing. So, right there. Not a whole lot, but certainly worth mentioning. Okay, so that's it. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. I wish I had the time to make this an automatic process, but I don't think I do or will. Unless some serious financial motivation gets involved. And if you don't like these wide, thick areas on your model, you can go to sculpt mode and hit S to smooth and just take this down. You want to make sure that your symmetry is not marked. Okay, anyway, I'm just playing and wasting your time.